Asterisk rain pelted the pavement in rhythmic bursts as James Carter pulled his coat tighter and hurried across the parking lot. It was late, well past midnight, and most of the city had long since gone to sleep, but something had kept him from turning in, a strange pull in his gut. As he approached the corner store, he saw them three little girls huddled together beneath a flickering street lamp. They couldn't have been older than 10, the oldest maybe 12. Their clothes were soaked, their faces drawn with fear and exhaustion. One of them clutched a torn backpack to her chest like it held everything she owned in the world. Asterisk James stopped in his tracks. Asterisk he looked around. No adults in sight. No shelter nearby. The girls noticed him and froze unsure whether to trust or run. Asterisk, I'm not here to hurt you, he said gently, kneeling to their level. Are you okay? Asterisk, no answer. Just wide, haunted eyes. The oldest stepped forward slightly, shielding the younger to behind her. We don't got nowhere to go, she said, voice barely above a whisper. Asterisk James felt a lump rise in his throat. In that moment, he knew this was more than chance, more than coincidence. These girls needed someone, and maybe, just maybe, he was meant to be that someone. Asterisk, without hesitation, he offered them his hand. Asterisk, let's get you warm and safe, he said. Asterisk, that night changed all of their lives forever. Asterisk, the small apartment James called home wasn't much to bedrooms. Modest furniture, a lingering scent of strong coffee and old books, but it was warm, safe, and quiet. The three girls sat stiffly on the living room couch, wrapped in mismatched blankets. Their wet clothes were drying in the bathroom, and James was in the kitchen, making grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup, one of the few meals he could cook well. Asterisk he glanced over every so often, watching them with a cautious heart. The silence was heavy, but not uncomfortable, just fragile. Asterisk he returned a few minutes later, carrying 3 bowls of soup and a plate of sandwiches, and placed them gently on the coffee table. Asterisk, you don't have to talk, he said, settling into the recliner across from them. But you do have to eat. Asterisk, at first, they hesitated. Then the youngest, a girl with wide brown eyes and a tear-streaked face, reached for a sandwich. The others followed. They ate slowly, methodically, their eyes darting up now and then, as if still unsure whether this kindness would vanish without warning. Asterisk, do you have names? James asked, not pressing, just inviting. Asterisk, I'm Nia, the oldest said quietly, her voice steadier now. That's Keisha, and she's Zoe. Asterisk he nodded, memorizing them. I'm James. Asterisk they didn't say much more that night, but before they fell asleep on a makeshift bed of blankets and cushions, James pulled out an old photo album, dusty and untouched, and placed it on the table. Asterisk, tomorrow, he said softly, we'll figure out what comes next, together. Asterisk he didn't know then how complicated the road would be. Foster applications, social services, sleepless nights, trauma he couldn't fix with just a sandwich or a safe place to sleep. But he knew one thing for certain. He wasn't letting them go. Asterisk, the small apartment had long since been replaced by a modest house on the south side of town. It had chipped paint and a creaky front porch, but it was home, the kind where shoes piled up at the door. Walls were filled with school pictures and stick figure drawings, and Sunday dinners were sacred. Asterisk Nia, now 17, sat at the dining room table surrounded by textbooks. Her brows were furrowed in concentration, but there was a quiet confidence in the way she attacked each math problem. Keisha, 15, was in the kitchen baking again. She had a natural talent for it, and James often joked that she was going to own a bakery before she graduated high school. Zoe, now 13, practiced violin in the living room, her fingers dancing across the strings with growing grace. Asterisk James stood in the hallway, watching them without saying a word. He had aged a few more lines around the eyes, his hair now more silver than black, but his eyes were steady, warm. He held a mug of coffee like it was keeping him upright. Asterisk he thought back to that rainy night years ago. How scared they all were. How uncertain. How close he came to turning the other way, convincing himself it wasn't his responsibility. Asterisk now, he couldn't imagine his life without them. Asterisk girls, he called out, his voice calm and fatherly. Asterisk they looked up. Yeah, Dad, all three said in near unison. Asterisk he smiled at that. Every time they called him Dad, something healed inside him. Asterisk dinner in 10, and yes, Keisha, you can serve that banana bread for dessert. Asterisk she grinned, wiping flour off her nose. Asterisk as he turned back toward the kitchen. He didn't see the glance the girls exchanged behind his back, one filled with quiet resolve. They had a secret, a plan, something they had been working on for the past year without him knowing. Asterisk, because James had saved them once, and now they were going to change his life in return. Asterisk.